Hello, everybody. So, as you all know, I follow the LifeMD Hims pair, the baby Hims versus big Hims pair. And I often ask myself, which is best as I add to my positions in both stocks. I own both stocks. Today, both stocks are down. There's very little volume, but it seems like every small cap is selling off. Whatever, doesn't really matter to the long-term shareholder that I am. But I've noticed a shift in my opinion over the past few days, which is I now find LifeMD to be once again more compelling than Hims. LifeMD is cheaper than Hims. It makes sense for LifeMD to be cheaper than Hims. The company doesn't grow as fast. The company is not the leader in the space. The company is not going international and diversifying. So it really makes sense for it to be cheaper than Hims, but not this much cheaper. I think now we are reaching a territory where, per my favorite metric, enterprise value over gross profit over revenue growth, per my favorite metric, LifeMD is almost 3 times as cheap as Hims. I like to buy LifeMD when LifeMD is 3 times as cheap as Hims. I prefer to buy Hims when LifeMD is about 2 times as cheap as Hims, which historically is what we've seen. LifeMD about twice as cheap as Hims. So this is the new valuation. Of course, I've updated both LifeMD and Hims valuation with a new analyst number for forward revenue growth. They're expecting 25% roughly next 12 months for LifeMD versus 47% for Hims next 12 months. Notice how this has dropped to a more normalized growth, revenue growth, sales growth run rate. Before that, we were expecting 60%. But since the end of the partnership with Novo, well, you're going to have a little dent in the quarterly revenue because of that. Hopefully, this is going to be temporary. Hopefully, this was the only quarter we had. Maybe we're going to have a flattish quarter next quarter. And I fundamentally believe the growth will resume at Hims because we have so many different products. But looking at the pair, and if a viewer is interested in both stocks, like right now, I like LifeMD better. Let me also point out the nonsense of the market. So this is, and it was much starker around 1 p.m. today, Central Time, my time. But if you look at LifeMD is down more than Hims. Like this is, and this is, of course, this has to do with the fact that LifeMD is a smaller cap. But this is kind of nonsensical if you believe that the Hims drop is due to a Novo lawsuit incoming, which if you believe half the internet is telling us the Novo lawsuit is coming. So if you believe that Hims is down because of a lawsuit overhang, then riddle me this, explain to me why LifeMD is down more than Hims. And at some point during the day, LifeMD was down way, way more than Hims. I think as far as LifeMD is concerned, it's being sold off on low volumes and low activity in August. People are at the beach. At least in the Northern Hemisphere, they're not really in front of their trading desks. And if you believe that the Novo lawsuit is coming, Yemi, you may have seen a recent commentary from Yemi saying that, compounded semaglutide and compounding drug is pretty well established and they don't really think there's a lawsuit risk. Well, he didn't say it like that, but that's what I'm saying, right? But if you believe there's going to be a lawsuit coming, LifeMD, in my view, is the safer play, which in addition to the valuation, right, is another reason why I like LifeMD right now, because maybe half of the internet is right? That's the wisdom of the crowd. At some point, the wisdom of the crowd, has to weigh in your analysis. LifeMD does not compound semaglutide, and therefore LifeMD is still friend with Novo. LifeMD is also friend with Eli Lilly, right? They sell the branded medication. However, LifeMD has another problem, which is insurance is not paying. They're charging $500 a month. If insurance doesn't cover, LifeMD has to issue a refund, and the customer will then try to go get a compounded semaglutide medication somewhere else from maybe one of these places that is getting sued by Novo. So really this GLP-1 situation is a catch-22 for both stocks, but as far as the lawsuit risk goes, LifeMD in my view doesn't really have it. Hims, in my view, I really don't know, and I really don't care because it's a small part of the thesis for me. The weight loss for me is one category among many others. One more thing that LifeMD said in the call that HIMS didn't, but LifeMD said in the call that their RexMD issue, and we know there's been a slowdown in ED prescriptions lately, and they were saying that RexMD's issue was fixed and they expect the business to go back to growth. And so we did not really hear from HIMS. HIMS was just talking about a headwind. They didn't say they fixed it. ED was fixed at LifeMD. The problem of the softness in ED in Q2, LifeMD did say that it was fixed with some changes they made to their marketing. So that's also another thing to consider. And LifeMD, just like HIMS, this does not remove anything from HIMS. HIMS has catalysts coming up, but LifeMD has quite a bit of catalysts, which I find very interesting. First of all, I think, of course, the Netflix of doctors, LifeMD Plus for $19 a month, I think that's going to gain a lot of traction, especially as some people maybe losing their ACA subsidies and, maybe losing their government-sponsored health insurance program. I think $19 a month for a doctor who can write a prescription, that can be very compelling to a lot of people, to a big mass market. That's point number one. Point number two, they're going to launch osteoporosis. Okay, we're not going to call it osteoporosis. We're going to call it like a holistic care, and we're going to call it women's health. But really, it's really menopause. And menopause, the big issue is osteoporosis. And this is why they bought this company, which I think they paid a really good price for, by the way. They bought this company from this friendly doctor right here with a bone, and he fixes menopausal bones. So there you go. And so we're going to rebrand that, and it's going to be part of their LifeMD program, women's health program. And I wonder if they're going to keep OHH in the background. They probably should, because they have a lot of customers with a lot of testimony. This is a successful platform right there, and that doctor made a bunch of money selling that platform too. So good for him. And he seems to have a lot of success with osteoporosis. So that's going to be a big launch. Essentially, I'm saying that LifeMD might be closer to launching something in women's health than HIMS is. So that's point number one. Point number two, as far as the catalysts go, so like I said, the women's health, they launched a mental health program as well recently. They launched a mental health program for $99 a month, as you can see. That's another nice deal. We know it's a big business for HIMS, mental health, SSRIs, SNRIs, anxiety treatment. That's a big, growing business for HIMS. They just launched that at LifeMD, and so maybe they're gonna, compete a little bit with HIMS on that one, right? And with HIMS a little bit, but mostly compete with mom and pop physical office doctors. That's who they're gonna compete with, right? Because mental health is kind of like an issue of data and picking the right drug to fix. Anyways, this is a different conversation. But there's a lot of reason as to why a digital platform is much more efficacious in prescribing a mental health medication, because you can just open a chat box and say, hey, this mental health doesn't work for me. This drug doesn't work for me. Let's switch it up. And you can just chat with a doctor. It moves much more quickly than having to have an actual physical meeting in an office with a psychiatric, or having to go through the ping pong of going to see your primary doctor, who then refers you 3 weeks later to a specialist, who then maybe wants to see you 2 times before he prescribe you something. So anyways, HIMS has had a lot of success with its mental health program. I can only believe that LifeMD will have success with its mental health program. And 2 things which I think HIMS could inspire itself from, but this is something that LifeMD has launched. So prescription medication for sleep. Prescription medication for sleep. This is, insomnia is a big deal. This is something that I don't see HIMS getting into. Yet if you follow the longevity crowd, we're going to get in the longevity crowd. I think HIMS could potentially have a business to open up with sleep meds and sleep medication, because sleep is so important, right? Sleep reduces stress. Sleep increases your metabolism. It's all linked. It's all put together. So HIMS could have a sleep division and sell prescription meds for sleep as well. And one last point, and of course LifeMD has that already. And one last point that LifeMD has that I wish HIMS had as well, they don't, maybe they will, is urgent care. Urgent care is a huge business. And sure, HIMS is, and LifeMD, they don't offer stitches. Like you cut yourself in the kitchen, you have $200 to spend on stitches. They're going to make money on that. They're not going to make money on that. But what is a form of urgent care, right? It's something like I don't know, like for women, for example, yeast infection would be like a or some sort of infection. That would be like a form of urgent care where they have to go and get a pill. There's many forms of urgent care where you also don't need to be physically present, where you can just do the urgent care remotely. And that's potentially a business that Hims could do, urgent care. LifeMD, of course, is better suited to do urgent care because they can send prescription to partner pharmacies that are local. So let's say you have like a very bad cold. Well, if you have a very bad cold, there's a handful, maybe 2 or 3 prescription medications that you need. That's a case of urgent care that can be treated by seeing the doctor. And so, and of course, LifeMD can help with urgent care. So LifeMD has a lot of catalysts. A final catalyst that I didn't put it there for LifeMD is in my view, the ability to sell a U.S. doctor or a U.S. licensed doctor internationally. And just selling visits. A lot of people like to get second opinions from doctors in different countries. They could have a big business just selling a doctor visit internationally and going after that international market on digital rails. I think that's LifeMD. When I look at it, it's got a lot riding for it. It's got a lot going for it. And right now it's at a discount compared to the historical discount to Hims. So I'm liking LifeMD at these levels. And yeah. Anyways, that's about it for this video. This was not financial advice, not investment advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained and only entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.